What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video and welcome to your stimulus check update, stimulus package and infrastructure update and daily news report for Wednesday, June 9th. Now, yesterday President Biden called off negotiations with the GOP negotiator Shelley Moore Capito, and many thought this would be the end of negotiations. However, one of the reasons, according to reports, why President Biden called off the negotiations was because they were reaching that point where there's irreconcilable differences. However, that was one report. The other reports were all indicating that the reason President Biden called off this negotiation was because there's a bipartisan group of senators, which does include Senator Mitt Romney, Ron Portman, Susan Collins, and Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Okay? This group of bipartisan senators is actually getting closer to putting together a bipartisan bill that would hopefully be acceptable to the Biden administration. What I can tell you right now is this group is still putting this together. However, and I just want to be clear on something, this bipartisan group of senators does not include any senator that is pushing for that $2,000 per month stimulus check. I bring this up because many people here in the community, not just over in in other states or wherever, people all over on social media, but just here in the community, a lot of you have stated that a $2,000 stimulus check is imperative. You need it. It is something that you almost are required to have in order to get back on your feet. A lot of people are saying, let's cancel unemployment benefits. Let's get rid of that. Let's get people back to work. But as a bonus, as an incentive, let's say, okay, well, if we get rid of unemployment benefits, let's give a stimulus check to the American people. That's something that's being discussed because according to reports this morning that there were billions of dollars. There were billions of dollars. I think it's right about $40 billion. It's anywhere between $30 and $40 billion that was wasted, was ineffective as far as unemployment benefits go. And so some are saying that we would have been better off giving that $30 or $40 billion to the American people as opposed to do a stimulus check, as opposed to giving it to the states and letting them use it for unemployment benefits. So we'll see what happens there. But I just want to be clear, this group of senators doesn't include anybody that is pushing for that $2,000 per month stimulus check. But what we see, if we see an additional stimulus check, some are saying that's highly likely at this point, simply because we are going through a bipartisan bill, or at least going with a bipartisan group of senators to put together this bill. There's a higher chance that we see stimulus, not in this bill, not in this one, but in the social infrastructure package that currently, and this is something that I said the other day as well, is that we are going to see the House or the Senate, most likely the House first, and I think that's how it's going to work, is going to start to push forward with a budget resolution, which is the first step in creating the process behind the budget reconciliation. So that's actually good news there. Now, what I can tell you is that after the meeting later last night, between President Biden and Senator Shelley Moore Capito, this is when the talks with this bipartisan group of senators really started to take off, because then they met right after that. They stated that they have a rough plan, okay? So rough plan as to what will be in this next bill. They also say that they roughly know the cost, but as far as the top line number, that is where all 8 senators aren't in 100% in agreement. So that's one of the issues there. And the big issue is they do not know how exactly this will be paid for. Certain senators right now, they want to see some of the money be pulled back from some of the stimulus package, and others say no, we need just additional money, additional funding. So right now it's trying to find a compromise and a mix of the two, and probably get the wealthier individuals here in this country to pay for a large portion of that through increased taxes. And that's something that Republicans don't want at all. So we'll see what happens there. And while these issues drag out, after multiple delays, and this is something that I said before, the good news is that there's some things that are being taken care of, but the bad news is, yes, Congress is still working out other issues, and those must be taken care of as well. For instance, the border crisis. Okay, the crisis at the border has gotten worse, and we know it's not getting any better. The Texas governor said the other day that if they have to, they will take it upon themselves. They will arrest and lock up all illegals caught entering into the United States in Texas. So that's something that's big. That's something that's really big. And I believe currently the American people, the taxpayers, you and I believe we're paying like $70 million a week. Okay, don't quote me on that, but I believe it's like $70 million per week in order to house illegals in hotels and stuff down in Texas. So that's actually a pretty big chunk of change that we will have to pay. We also know that Vice President Kamala Harris, she says that she knows what's going on down at the border. She even told citizens of Guatemala that to not come to the United States. She was very blunt. She said, "Do not come to the U.S." Now, when Vice President Harris was asked, "Are you planning to go down to the border?" she simply said that yes, she has been to the border, but she didn't say she was going back to the border. And so when she was questioned on that, obviously she got a little flustered, and then things kind of broke down. But she pretty much just brushed that off for now. So that was one issue that they had. Yesterday, the Senate also voted and failed to pass the Paycheck Fairness Act as well. This is a bill that would have narrowed the wage gap for women, in the same industry or same jobs as men. This is really affecting, black women, brown women as well. But this bill came about due to the fact that millions of women who have the same skills, degrees, work history, whatever, they have the exact same, past, but yet they're getting paid a lot less than than their counterparts in the exact same positions. And so this is something that Democrats have been fighting on for years. Have been trying to see this wage gap kind of narrow. But yesterday the bill did fail. It failed in the Senate, and it didn't pass 49 to 50. So it pretty much went right along party lines. So that's kind of what we're going to see at this point, is a lot of bills are going to pass or not pass 50 to 50, but most likely 49 to 50. Again, we still need 60 votes in the Senate in order to pass with the filibuster. So while the Senate is still working on many of these issues, one thing I can tell you is they are starting to, as they're working on getting the votes for different bills, there are some things that they can work out. And here's the big news from yesterday, is that they did pass the China competition bill for $250 billion. Now, this bill was approved 68 to 32. I'm not going to go into the details of this bill at this time. I'll do that probably later on today, maybe tomorrow. But the reason I bring this up is because this just proves that a divided Senate, an evenly divided Senate, can still pass meaningful legislation, and they can do that on a bipartisan level. This is good because this is hopefully, and this again is something that we heard a couple months ago, is if lawmakers can agree on a China bill, which is essentially what this is, then they should be able to use that as momentum, as a building block to pass maybe additional stimulus, infrastructure, and other meaningful legislation. So we will see what happens now, but hopefully this kind of propels the Senate to work on the next thing. The good news here is that this, again, should just open the doors. Okay, that's all we're looking for, is just open the doors for open conversation. And if we can have that, then we could possibly get some type of resolution on the infrastructure and additional stimulus a little bit faster. So that's always good news. Now, I want to bring this up because I think this, for one, it's extremely important. But even though President Biden ended negotiations with the GOP, he's still open to working with Republicans. He stated that he's still open to negotiating with Republicans. It was just that path that they were on, there was really no future for it. There was really no end. It was just going to be negotiation. what we know is that finding bipartisanship on the social infrastructure package will not happen. And it doesn't matter if it's a GOP negotiator or a bipartisan group that is negotiating it. There's not going to be any bipartisanship on a social infrastructure package. And President Biden knows this. But this is why Democrats are already moving forward with their budget resolution. And they're going to do this in the House. So, and this is something that I said the other day that I expect it to happen either sometime this week or next week. They're going to start doing it this week. So that's actually pretty good, because that means there's a chance that they will get this done before they go on their August recess. And I think that's where things are starting to culminate is, okay, we need to get everything together so that by the end of July, we can have this done. Because if not, there's a chance, and there are people calling for lawmakers to cancel their August recess if they are not done passing these bills. So we'll see what happens there. But this timing, the timing of this does show that Democrats are done waiting on Republican support. And this is something we knew was going to happen at some point. But many expected we would already be talking about the budget reconciliation, not just now getting into the budget resolution. So we'll see what happens next. But as of right now, Democrats are willing to go at this bill all alone. But speaking of bipartisanship, lawmakers are working on multiple bills to currently fix the U.S. retirement system. This is something they say has been broken for years, and it needs to be fixed immediately. Currently, there are multiple bills that are being worked on, but reports are indicating that these bills could greatly help those that are wishing to someday retire with something. Because as of right now, many millions of Americans retire with absolutely nothing, or have no way to retire because they have no savings, they have no investments, they have no assets. And so that's something that lawmakers are saying we need to push to get the American people all pretty much on a standard level. Now, based on the early reports of this bill, again, this bill is still being put together. But one of the reasons why Democrats are pushing for this is because they say that they have seen a connection between retirement, the retirement savings and assets, and the student loan debt payments. They've seen a connection between the two. They are saying that if all these past students didn't have the debt that they needed to pay off, then they could have contributed more to these retirement accounts. So guess what they're doing now? This is just another way of pretty much finding a roundabout way to tell President Biden, hey, look, there's another issue with student debt. We need to forgive up to $50,000 in student debt. That's kind of what we're hearing. So this is just another roundabout way to get the exact same point across. It's just talking about these exact same people in a different way. Okay, kind of bringing the story around full circle. So we'll see what happens here. According to reports, President Biden still does not know if he has the legal authority to cancel student debt or forgive it, but hopefully we'll know very soon. Something else that's happening as of right now is that the U.S. Progressive Chair, Pramila Jayapal, she's actually planning to introduce the Housing is a Human Right Act. She's actually doing this with, I think, a New York representative as well. She states that this $300 billion is crucial housing infrastructure while reducing homelessness across America. And that is something that we have seen, I think, in every single city, across the United States. You see, there's a homelessness crisis. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. However, whether now is the time, probably. Some lawmakers say that now is not the time to worry about that. We have millions and millions of others that are needing our help as well. But yet the problem is, as of right now, very little people are actually getting support outside of unemployment benefits. We do know that the child tax credit payments will start in a little bit over a month, and every single month you will receive a payment. Now, I want to explain something to you guys, because this is something that I think a lot of people have been missing. Is some people have been asking me, how does the child tax credits work? So here's what you need to understand: if you are single and you make over $75,000 per year, let's say in 2021, right? If you make over that amount, again, the tax credits for 2021, not 2020. So 2020 doesn't really matter. But if you make over, let's say $75,000 as an individual, what you need to understand is you will lose $50 for every $1,000 you make over. Okay? So if we do the math, let's say you have, you're an individual, let's say you make $85,000. Let's just say $100,000, $25,000 over what the requirement or the max is, right? So you make $25,000 over, okay? $25,000, so times that by 50. So you would lose out on $1,250 in the child tax credit. Let's say you have one child that's age, let's say 9, right? So you get $3,000. So in the end, you would get $1,750 at the end of the year. But if you divide that up into payments, okay, every single month you would get $145.83 per month because you made over that $75,000. Okay, you made $100,000, and you have one child, age 7 or 9 or whatever I just said, right? So you would still get a payment. I think that's where a lot of people are struggling is, okay, I made more money, but is it $50 for every 1,000 I make over, and is it monthly? No, it's yearly, okay? Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. I know it's a little confusing, but if you have let's say you made $250,000 and you're a couple, and you have 6 kids, let me know your situation down in the comment section below, and I'll try to do the math for you. Hopefully I can. There are still scammers in the comments, so just keep that in mind that sometimes I'm not able to comment because I'm still trying to delete all the scammers. So we'll see what happens there, but hopefully YouTube is going to get on this because as of right now, it's getting pretty ridiculous that every single comment that you guys make, a scammer comes in and comments almost immediately right after. Now, let's get back to the story of the Housing is a Human Right Act, okay? Because I wanted to bring this up because Pramila Jayapal, who's one of the kind of co-sponsors on this, she's also one of the ones that has been pushing the hardest for the $2,000 per month stimulus checks. Now, reports indicate that she's still going to devote time to passing the stimulus check portion of these different proposals. However, she also sees the need to pass additional relief before this gets out of hand. So, one thing I just wanted to warn you on, just a warning, okay, that we've seen this before. I don't know if it's going to happen again, but what we've seen in the past is if lawmakers push for too many pieces of legislation, then when it gets down to the end, they are sometimes forced to, okay, do you want stimulus checks or would you rather have expansion of Medicare, right? I'm just going to throw those two out there. Again, nobody's really discussing that yet, but I'm throwing those two out there. Sometimes they're forced to pick just one, what they really want to move forward with, okay? So all lawmakers, you'll push all these different bills into the middle of the table. They pick out the ones they want. Okay, I have 2 different ones here. Well, sorry, you can only have one. All right, well, I'm going to put back Medicare. I'm going to hold on to the stimulus check one, right? And so what we know is that when they do this, sometimes they can't pass everything. So it really comes down to what everyone else is deciding on and what certain lawmakers are trying to push forward, okay? And the reason why I want to give this to you as a warning is because this is something that we will see. There's going to be a lot of different plans, a lot of different proposals, a lot of different good bills pushed into the middle and be like, all right, consider this. And then in the end, a lot of it's just going to be stripped out, okay? So I want to give you that warning because I will be doing updates on these different proposals and plans and bills. But the thing is, not every single one is going to pass. And we've seen this in over the past year. We've seen it every single year, anytime lawmakers get together. But again, that's just kind of what we know at this time. So as of right now, I will promise I will keep you updated on everything that's going on, all the newest and latest information. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on. And I'll see you guys on the next one.